important. In the mix.
The biggest station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Don't go nowhere. For sure.
Welcome back to Instinct Radio. This is the Dainhen Butler Show. We have a action-packed show today. We're going to touch on some stuff that some people are going to get offended and some people are going to praise us. And for the most part, what we want to do is bring some a realistic aspect to our listeners. I think that's what our obligation, that's what our responsibility is here at Instinct Radio and the Dainhen Butler Show. My first guess is I want to pronounce this the correct way because I was told that I said apostle and I didn't say apostle. Am I saying that right now? Apostle Tony Hill. Quick story. You know what, the last time I came to your church was like, I want to say 2013 New Year's Eve. And you know what? I haven't been back to the church since then. I'm going to tell you why. It wasn't for a bad reason. When I went to the church, I don't know if it was you and your wife or your wife and somebody else. You know how sometimes like people be like, oh, this person, they got this kind of anointing on them or they got this. When I tell you I was at the church on New Year's Eve and whatever I had going on that I had not told nobody about was whispered in my ear. I'm talking about nothing I told just my mama or I had told my dad. I'm saying that real life feelings that I had about life, about my ambitions, about, you know, what motivated me to do certain things. I was told, you know, it was just like talking to somebody who had the code to my phone or who had looked at all my text messages. And you know what? It frightened me. It scared me. It scared me because, you know what, I think a lot of times, and I didn't realize it scared me until a couple of weeks ago. I was like, why hadn't you gone back to that church? And you know what, I realized that a lot of people, they don't want to deal with the truth.
That's that conviction.
Yeah, man. It wasn't no, let me dodge around this or I paid this tithe. And it wasn't nothing. It was straight butt naked truth. And I ain't been able to face it since then. And let's just be honest. That is the butt naked truth. What you about to say? Oh, okay.
That should be your reason to go back.
Yeah, but then you know what you gotta, we ain't having that discussion right now. Welcome to the show.
Think something might really happen.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, brother. I appreciate you coming and talking to us and teaching us something today. How you feeling?
I'm blessed, man. I'm just grateful to be here. I feel like the topic is awesome. I'm talking about it's powerful. I feel like the topic is awesome. It's powerful. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's a much needed discussion. It's very much needed. So, you know, I'm here. I'm ready. You know, I'm blessed to be here.
And let me just add this. I need all the women to please call in because I am outnumbered, as you see. Please let me know your opinion.
This is the only time in Atlanta you're going to be outnumbered.
Wow.
Definitely more women than it is men.
Wow.
We got a large variety. Some of them married, though.
Let's dive right in, man. It is marriage in 2015, is it realistic?
No.
Why?
I can speak for my generation. I know why it's not.
How old are you, first of all?
Your generation.
27. Females born in the 80s, like me, late 80s, they're not interested in marriage. They want to think like a man instead of thinking like themselves. They want to listen to Steve Harvey, who's on his third marriage, instead of doing what they should do the right way.
Oh, they about to call on you. They about to call in right now.
That's my nephew.
Please call in. Number is 478-569.
Well, I was born in the 80s.
I'm saying from my generation, I see females.
We are
got
the
wrong
same
motives,
generation.
Well, I'm just speaking on the ones I've seen. Like a lot of females don't think like the way I was raised. My mom, like back then, women wanted to get married. They wanted to do the right thing. Now they want to think for themselves. They want to not think for themselves. They want to be. They don't need a man. They want to show you they can do it on their own. We need each other.
So
Kia, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so are you saying as a married woman, you're not thinking for yourself?
I corrected myself.
I was about to. Yeah.
I said not thinking for themselves. They don't want to do something with a man. They want to show they can do it by themselves. Look at the women out here. Like you go on Instagram right now. I don't need a man. I can do this by myself. The only man they got is their son, who they claim that's their king.
Well, don't you think that when two people get together, they should both be well established? It shouldn't just be.
You should have thought that.
It should. Well, if they had a kid, that means there was a male involved in that, so he has a kid as well.
So you want to have a kid with me, but you don't want to take the next step and be married. You want to just become another statistic.
Well, why isn't that man offering? You have to be asked for your hand in marriage.
So you're going to sit here with a man for 10 years and waste your time because
We
you
got
ask
to
a
call
question?
him. We got to call him.
We got to call him.
Instinct Radio.
Don't you have to put it on speakerphone?
I'm sorry.
said, how's it going? I just wanted to make a comment about like the marriage situation. Like you were saying, males outnumber females or whatever. But I don't really think that's a reason. But honestly, I just don't think that marriage is it's not as highly held as it should be. Like we just put other importance on for other stuff. So I don't really think it has so much to do with numbers as far as value is concerned.
Can you
I
touch on
agree.
that?
Well, I agree. I agree that marriage is not esteemed as high as it used to be, but the values that comes along with marriage is not there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, marriage within itself is not because, ooh, I love you, I feel good, but marriage is more than just love. It's a partnership. And I just really feel like, you know, the way that, just like the young man was just saying, the way that we are all thinking as being basically selfish, a lot of people don't see the need for marriage. It's not esteemed as a partnership as someone to have your back.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, oh man, I do it for a status quo. You know,
Yeah.
all my life I've been tricking around, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. So, man, the highlight of my life would be if I get married.
Yeah.
But it's not for the real reason that marriage should be established.
Well, I want to ask you a question. So I think, when we think of our grandparents, we think of people who stayed together a long time, even probably had a lot of kids and stayed together and made it work. But also back then, a lot of women were dependent on their husband to take care of them. So I think that's why when women start having more education, getting better jobs and doing that, then you see, well, if my husband cheats on me, I don't have to stay. I don't need to be in this marriage. Or if he has kids outside the family, I don't have to stay because I could take care of myself. I don't need him to take care of me. But I don't think that's the only reason why there's so few marriages.
Yeah.
Why do you think there are so few marriages? So few marriages that last?
I think it's so few marriages that last because people, I really like to blame, I don't want to say blame, but I want to, okay, I'm going to backtrack and I'm going to just say in this day and age, and he made a valid point when it comes to kids. Right now, people are having like 2 or 3 kids before they're 25, 30 by multiple partners or not by people they intend to spend their life with. And when you have a child with someone, that is an automatic lifetime bond. So when you're trying to go out and meet someone new or start a new relationship, it's kind of hard to start a relationship and grow with someone when you also have outside people that are automatically involved in your relationship. Like there's no say in it. So if you have multiple children, then you have to go to this family and that family and that family.
That's
and
true.
I think it makes it hard for the dating process.
That is true, but that does not touch on the fact of why you feel so few marriages last.
Well, you have to get to the marriage part
Okay,
before you
but
can get
once
for
you
it
get
to
the
last.
marriage, why do you feel like it doesn't last? That's what I'm speaking of
Can
the
I ask
marriage,
you-
not before.
Well,
the
I was
marriage.
married before,
Mhm.
and it didn't last.
Mhm.
But it didn't last because I got married when I was young.
Mhm.
I was young, and
What's your
20. Well, we were together when I was 19. We were married, had a kid, and I think we outgrew each other. And when you're young, when we're growing up, we think once we hit 18, we're grown. We think we know it all. And now, looking years later, the old saying, if I knew then what I know now, you see that you're really not an adult and you're still growing, you're still learning yourself, and we just weren't the same people and we grew apart. It just wasn't meant to happen.
Well, one thing I do see is that sometimes I think the lady made a good point. We don't value the marriages the way we should, and especially growing up in these days, as he said. But I think we also have to look at marriage, especially coming from a men's perspective. And I've never been married, but what I have recognized is that one of the issues, a lot of the issues come with most men haven't seen marriage in their life, especially coming, you grew up, and most of the people I seen married was my grandmother and my grandfather, 'cause that's who I seen first. But I seen they went through the storms, tried to, and I remember seeing my grandmother argue with my granddad. I was like, Grandma, why don't you leave Granddad alone? No, I'm just messing with it. But it was just the way they growed into each other. And I see for a lot of men, for a lot of especially young African American men, especially in my age, from 40 on down, we just never seen marriage in a perspective that and value it the way it should be.
So you're saying we haven't seen the example?
We haven't seen that. Young men have seen examples of a lot of things. They haven't even seen examples of what it is to be a man, much less how to have the responsibility of a man.
That's why it was good when we had TV shows like The Cosby Show and Family Guy. Family Matters.
Let's go to our call and see what they're talking about. And then
Family Matters.
Just hit this. You sure? Okay. You're tuned into the Dainhen Butler Show.
Yes, I'd like to chime in on the question as to why you feel that marriages don't last these days.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the reason why I think is because in today's society, everything is so glamorized. Like the wedding, people are looking at the wedding. Oh, I want to have a $50,000-$60,000 wedding. I want this dress. I want to be married at this venue. Well, and they're not concentrating on what their actual marriage life will be like.
So you're saying it's more like a status symbol than a commitment?
Yes, it's a status symbol, and it's a show. So you're not really concentrating on what the marriage is going to be. Like who's going to be responsible for these bills, that type of thing, how we're going to work this out together, so forth like that. Go
ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you're not talking about your marriage as to how we're going to work these problems out and so forth like that, and all you're concentrating on is your wedding and the day of this big production, then don't have that, the wedding, the marriage part of it is already lost.
So you're saying people are going into marriage for the wrong reasons?
For the wrong reasons, yes. And people don't have longevity these days. Everybody wants instant this, instant that, instant house. Like I look on some of these reality shows, everybody wants this big house and wants this and that. Nobody wants to work hard for anything together.
Yeah, that's
true.
Okay.
Thank you for calling in, ma'am. We like the word that you dropped on us. Thank you.
All right.
All right. You know what? I agree with her to one degree in reference to what I'm learning about life, just as a business owner, as an individual, as an asset to my community, is that those people who are the most successful in anything that it is that they do, they're almost OCD to one degree or another. They're very extreme organizers. I don't care what it is. Even if you decide that you want to, sell drugs, if those people who are the most organized are going to be the most successful. And then so when you take two people who are madly in love, which is an overindulgence in emotional intelligence, and they have no real skill set in reference to just organization and accomplishing goals, all their love meshed together could take you over the top. But if you're not organized, then it really is just a matter of time before you self-destruct, or you find out that that the individual, the fuzzy feeling is gone now. And so now we're dealing with the facts. And if you're not able to, if you can't foresee what's going to take place and plan and plot for that, then you're going to end up losing. And I think go ahead.
I was going to say, that's why premarital counseling sometimes in churches is very good, because it takes you there and it makes you think about, well, what happens if this happens? What are you going to do? What's the plan if that happens? Because you have to think of that marriage as a partnership, and you're growing, and it's almost like a business. Just like you said, it's like a business. And so you have to be prepared. What happens? What are you going to do if this happens? What are you going to do if that happens? Are you prepared to face certain battles? And so, but a lot of people don't want to go to premarital counseling.
So let's do this. Before we get into the go ahead. You about to say something?
I'm going to say, man, you can sit here and say what you're going to do if something happens, but until it actually happens, that's a different thing. Like, you can say if this came in this room right now and did this, A, and third, yeah, I'm going to react like that. But until you actually going through it at the spur of the moment, it's a different
You don't know.
thing.
Well,
I know. Before we get into what makes a marriage works, I think that what we want to do, we want to get people, because a lot of people, they're just trying to get to, they want to get to that point, and that it just is not happening. So you know what?
You're talking about your marriage?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that a factor that we're not taking into consideration just as of yet is the male to female ratio. and this is something that I'm gonna stand solid on. You know, in Atlanta, we deal with a shortage of men throughout these United States. And I'm not, you know, I don't want to speak from just emotional aspects. I want to say that, you know, within these United States, the United States has the highest prison population in the world. And then Atlanta, you know, I'm not pointing no fingers at nobody, but, you know, the homosexual or the heterosexually challenged population is on the rise. You know what I mean? Homosexuality throughout these United States is on the rise. And then my whole mindset is that, you know, we need to reproduce. But if we have a large percentage of us that's incarcerated, and we have a large percentage of us who are just simply not interested in the opposite sex, then there's going to be a lack of men.
But there's a lot of lesbians as well as gay men. Gay men aren't the only homosexuals out there. There are a lot of lesbians, and Atlanta has a lot of lesbians, so they almost cancel each other out if you really want to think about it. In Atlanta.
In a perfect world, I want to say that, but then, you know, I try to look at the root of a whole lot of stuff. You know what? Homosexuals have a very strategic marketing plan. I remember years ago when if you was gay, you was very quiet about it. You see what I'm saying? You can get jumped on, smashed for any type of homosexual tendencies. And right now, it's quite the opposite. In fact, you know, you have people who don't even agree with the lifestyle, but they will befriend and they will become a spokesperson for this actual campaign because they don't want to get blackballed. And what takes place is this, that when we start looking at our people from, you know what, we're not even 12.5% of the United States population. When we began to grab onto this homosexual retreat, so to speak, what takes place is our numbers that are diminishing. When I say our numbers, I mean our population. When we begin to take on the Caucasian struggle, homosexual struggle as our own, then our numbers begin to decrease even more. We're going to go to one of our listeners. What I hit? Okay. You're tuned into the Dainhen Butler Show.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, brother? This is Omar Brown, a.k.a. Quad Joe. I do my live on my mic.
Yeah, you live, man. Do me a favor, turn your radio at home down so we can, you know, you don't get no feedback. But yeah, you live, man. Listen.
Is that better?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, then. I was kind of thrown because the feed that I'm watching must be delayed, right? But nevertheless, my name is Omar Brown. Some people know me as Quad Joe. I was listening in very intently, and I would like to add that I would like to bring up the subject of culture.
Okay.
Okay. And if we were to take a really good look at the definition of culture in itself and what it means to every ethnicity or cultural background, or historical background of a people, marriage in itself is defined differently in different cultures. And the reason why that is because every ethnicity or ethnic group of people have their own customs. We have our own traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at ourselves as a people, as black people, I can only speak for, you know, who and what I am. So I'm speaking to black people. Our cultural traditions, okay, and our traditions and our ways of life has been disrupted at the very root and the very core of, you know, basically of what helps us to define who we are as black men and who our women are as black women. So now when you're speaking about bringing those two separate entities together to formulate a whole body, okay, or a whole construct, the very foundation of a family, of the community, and of the nation, if the singularities as far as the individual male and the individual female, or man and woman, or what have you, okay, we were all children at one time. And in our historical cultural background, we had rites of passages, okay? So when we reached a certain age or level of growth of development, we were given vital nutrients and vital training and basically the definitions and the functions of a man and of a woman that we would need further on down the line when we did come together. And in this current day and time, when you weigh all that has happened to us as a people,
So let me ask you this, Tamar.
Black women struggle, black man struggle. Most of us have not been given the vital ingredients needed in order to know what our true functions are versus the actual.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, because what he was saying, I think we got disconnected, but we can take the basis of what he's saying is he's saying that the very foundation of our family structure has been, you know, either miscalculated, eroded to one degree or another.
So I think he's saying that it's not being that everything we've gone through in this country as a people has divided us as men and women, you know, so it's not actually realistic from his point of view. That's
I actually heard too that, you know, one of the conspiracy theories is that one of the reasons why a lot of black men were being, you know, incarcerated, break up that family structure. So if you don't have a man in the house, you know, how is that woman going to support herself? And then it just carries on and on and on. So just almost like how he was saying, there's a large percentage that are incarcerated. So then what are those households to do without that man? And then the woman has to step up. And
so then the question is, would it be realistic? If we're in a room, ideally we're in this room being Atlanta, if you take 10 women and you put them in the same room with no access to anybody else with 5 males, and this is life, this is what you have to deal with, then how is it possible that marriage be a realistic expectation for 5 of those women?
You know what? Let me interject here. I remember Chris Rock saying, and I am quoting Chris Rock. He said that a man is only as faithful as his options. Now, if you have the ratio of 30 women to 1 man, then that's a lot of options out there. Yeah. But it is realistic in the sense that a man or that man has to have the mindset to want to be with 1 woman. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it is extremely hard. But if you do have a mindset and a focus on that one person and you are with that person for the right reasons, then yes, it is realistic. So a man may only be as faithful as his options, but he has to make that 1 woman his only option. So it all depends on your perspective and your mindset and what you're trying to do.
That's a nice card. That's a nice card.
And
it's copyrighted.
Just to go ahead up with the actual question is, it's realistic for the individual. Okay. But it's not realistic for the overall picture. Exactly. For an individual, knowing your self-worth, knowing your marketing, knowing what you bring to the table, it might be more realistic for you than it is for the next woman or the next man. It's not just a woman's game, because even with the men, we have certain requirements that we want in a mate. And so, yeah, we might see 30 women, but not all of them are choices for marriage. So even with me myself,
you know, the truth,
you know, it's a lot of stock. But hey,
and you said
all
stop.
That ain't good.
You know what? I like what you said.
You should go to his church.
I like what you said. They pay tithes over there. They pay tithes over there.
Yeah.
But no, I like what you said in that there is a lot of stock out there.
Well, y'all
I didn't stop saying that word.
Please stop. Yes, please stop.
I didn't stop saying that word. But that's the word he said.
Yeah.
But,
just say option.
Women. Options, not inventory. But I feel like women and men get married for different reasons, or are in relationships for different reasons. A man is looking to further his seed. A man is looking to further his name, or he's trying to make a dynasty. Even if he doesn't know it consciously, he's doing the unconscious. So you picking someone who you can first be compatible with. You're picking someone who has childbearing hips. I'm saying it's realistic. And men are visual. So if I'm not attracted to you, if I don't first see something in you that I can see later on, that I can build, that I can grow with, I'm not gonna choose you. And women, on the other hand, get married for security.
Well,
yeah, I said it's
no.
cute. Yeah, I said it.
No, that's not true. Don't lump that, because I am looking to build that empire. I'm looking to build something for my children.
Security to do that, right? Do you not need security?
So why isn't the man looking? I think that when I get in a marriage, I'm going to bring something to the table as well.
I'm not saying
so,
a woman is not trying to bring things
yes,
to the
I do
table.
want security, but that's
okay.
not the only thing I want.
I understand. I'm not saying that I'm generalizing you by saying women want security, but women do want security.
Well, don't you want to be secure in your relationship as well?
Women want a man who is experienced. You feel what I'm saying? Men want a woman who is a virgin, who is
Okay, we're going. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to break. You're tuned into Instant Radio. This is the Dainhen Butler Show. Please continue to call in 478-569-6474. We will take the calls. We will try to answer your questions. It's gonna be a hot field show, man. Stay tuned.
Gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, Fizzle, Fizzle. And this is In-State Radio, man. Tune in, baby. Oh, boy.
Love and happiness.